Hey Gardenstead fans, it's Kimber down in the garden coming to you on this very dreary fall day, and I wish that it was better weather to be out here with you, but this is just what fall is. And speaking of fall, what are we doing down here in the garden? It might not be as pretty, it might not be as beautiful, but it's still a working garden this fall, and I'm very excited. I have my fall crops going, I have cover crops going, and I'm prepared for the next season. But what's the next step? What is your next step in gardening this season? Well, it's got to be to put in row covers. And that's what I'm doing today. So I'm going to take you into the garden and tell you all about what row covers are and how you can use them to extend your growing season. So come on in, let's go check out the fall garden and see what we need to do about putting in row covers. So this is one version of a row cover, and you're probably thinking, ew, yuck, what is that? Because it's dirty, and that's because it is used. And I really like to use and reuse and recycle and repurpose things in my garden to make the most out of everything. So this is a row cover that I purchased last year, and I am reusing again this year. So I might be getting a bit ahead of myself showing you the garden cover before telling you what they are. So a garden fabric is something that you use to cover your garden, either in the spring to get ahead of the growing season, or in the fall to keep on going and plugging along with your garden as long as you possibly can, which is what I love to do. Both of those, because I love to garden year round, and I want to help you guys make sure that you can do just the same. So how does a row cover keep your garden going throughout the year? Well, there's different types of row covers. First, there are plastic row covers, and then there are fabric row covers. And what you're looking at over there is a fabric row cover, and a very light one at that. So plastic row covers, we'll start with those because I'm not using those. So we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. So plastic row cover is just that. It's made of plastic, and you use it to create kind of like a greenhouse for your plants. You would put up maybe hoops if you wanted to use those on each end, and you would put the plastic cover over it, and it really warms up the soil and the air in there. But you don't want the plastic to touch your plants because that can lead to all sorts of different problems. But plastic is good, especially in the spring if you're trying to get a head start and warm up your soil. And it of course can be good in the fall for the exact same reasons. But when you have the plastic on it, if you have anything that needs to be pollinated with the bees or any of the other pollinators that are coming in, you need to remove it so that they have a chance to get in there. And it can be very time consuming, and it's heavy, and sometimes you can't even do it on your own because it's heavy and awkward. And you have to have the support system. The plastic can't touch your plants. Now, the other option for making your row covers is to use what I use, and those are fabric row covers. The one behind me that you see here, the white one, is a lighter fabric. It has less dense fibers in it. And this one is more so for keeping the pests out. So that's actually why this one is already on, because I'm using it over my brassicas to keep out the pests, because they just love to eat the leaves, and I would really like to eat it, and our daughter would really like to eat the broccoli that is growing under there instead of sharing it all with all of the little critters out there. So this one, if you get a light fabric, is great for doing just that, keeping out the pests. But again, if you have plants that need to be pollinized, then you're going to have to remove it at some point if you want to do that. But here, what's underneath is just broccoli on this one. So it's good to go. I covered it as soon as I transplanted my plants so that I could prevent anything from getting underneath there. And hopefully they are doing much better than the ones that are in the opposite bed that are getting eaten. And I'm going to have to go over there and pick some worms off of those, unfortunately. But when we're talking about planting and covering in the fall and the winter, other than using it for pests, you can use it to extend your growing season. And that is because you can warm up the soil and warm up the air by having the right covers on. And then you're also protecting your plants from the other elements, such as the wind that might knock them over, and then frosts as well, and the snow. And you can do that by using different levels of fabric. So this is a very light one that I have on this row, but I'm going to show you the green one that is a thicker, more dense fabric so that you can see what more of a heavy-duty one is going to do for your garden. So here is a heavyweight fabric row cover, and you can see that this one is thicker than my other one that you saw. So can see in here that you can't see my hand. Once I put it under there, you can't see through it. Whereas the one over here is definitely see-through. You see my hula hoop underneath there. There I go with my repurposing again. But you can also see my hand, and you can see all the pores in it. This is a light one, so there's lightweight, medium weight, and heavyweight blankets. And that is a light one, which is primarily used is for keeping the pests out, which it's doing right now. And it's also protecting it from wind if we had that, which I don't have any of that today. Very much would like some of that wind, but we don't have any. Instead, we have rain, which is okay too, because this is allowing the rain to get in. A lightweight will let in the light and it'll let in the rain. But that means it's not going to help you come winter when you have snow. So that's when I switch over here to my heavyweight blanket because, like I said, you can't see through it. They are more densely woven fibers in this one, and definitely going to help keep out the snow and the wind and the rain, but again, it's not going to get as much light in there to help your plants grow. So what I usually do is to take the covers off on nice sunny days and then replace the covers at the end of the day. And I know that's a lot of work and not everybody wants to do that, but when you live where it snows, you gotta do what you can do to keep everything going. So start with a lighter fabric now if you're not into the snowy season yet, and keep the pests away and keep your season going. Once it starts to get harsher weather where you are, go ahead and move up to a medium weight or to a heavyweight row cover. Now remember, if you decide to go with plastic, you're going to need to put up some kind of hoops because you don't want the plastic touching your plants, especially when you get snow. And if you go with a fiber one, then you can let it lay on it. That's why it's usually called floating row covers. So you can let the fabric touch your plants just fine, but I prefer to give them a little lift. So if you saw mine looks a little kind of funny, well, that's because I repurpose things. So it's not straight and beautiful like you're going to see in a magazine. Instead, it's real. I have hula hoops that I've cut in half to make the hoop on each side. I have reused pool noodles, and I have used sticks from the forest around me to give it that lift off of the plants because I like to reuse things. So that's a little look at what row covers are like. Make your choice, choose what kind that you would like to do to extend your growing season, and let us know if we can help you with anything else this fall.